when you get a user in and they've shown an intent of wanting to like your product, but you can't keep them around, it's a really good signal that something isn't quite right.
The topic of the day is how you've built these features that keep users coming back every day. Was that something you thought of even before you launched the app?
Originally, the product was more extensive than what you'd see on the App Store now. So the product is a shared calendar that links all of your calendars. On screen, you'll see my calendar's on the left, my partner's calendar is on the right, and then those shared events go across the middle there. That's really our secret sauce. So it links all of my calendars, so work, other family calendars, etc., into the app alongside my partners. We've got shared to do. And then we also had a date planning feature where users could set a goal for how often they want to go on date night. And then the app would remind you to sort of make sure that you've got that quality time booked in. That's sort of the app that's available now. When we first launched, we were really focused on the idea of, making date nights amazing. And so what we actually went out with was a whole lot of amazing, beautiful local content of what you could do on date night. We'd done a booking integration with a restaurant aggregator, and it took users through the whole process of actually being able to book a date night within the app. We'd launched this date night feature in New Zealand, and we were putting a lot of energy into marketing it, and we were just kind of struggling to get traction. Meanwhile, we had just launched the calendar feature in the US. Didn't have a homepage, didn't have any navigation. It was just the calendar feature. We just sort of saw this start to organically grow. We did a little bit on SEO, released an article, top 5 shared calendar app, and that started to rank really well. And what we saw was that users were searching to solve this problem, and that's where our app came in.
How did you get your first 100 users?
Everything for us came down to that one article, top 5 shared
I'm gonna pull it
calendars.
up.
This article has evolved over time, but when we first released it, it was just a list of top 5 apps with ours at the top, and this still is a major driver for volume for us today. And so I think having those utility features that tie back to a problem that people are actually trying to solve, and understanding what people are searching on Google, that's really been key to our strategy.
Why were you so ballsy about just putting some of your competitors out there?
I don't think we were worried about putting our competitors out there, because I think our angle has always been quite different from our competitors. I don't think you should be afraid of addressing who your competitors are in articles for this to look legitimate.
How much did ASO play into your launch strategy?
We were really cognizant of ASO. We'd put in keywords into our listing, and we'd done really well on those words, but it definitely wasn't on purpose. Now it is a huge part of our strategy.
Aiden says, Erica, did you produce a press pack?
We did have a pack that we were working with, again, another friend in New Zealand, and that definitely helped. What we found was that because we were acquiring customers through these sort of media channels, they weren't particularly sticky. They'd come in because they'd seen something cool online and thought, hey, I'll check this out. I think press is really great for brand building.
But do you think it helped with your SEO ranking at all?
Yeah, of course. Things always are helpful, and everyone who's got an SEO strategy should be trying to build those.
What's the best way to get the word out when you have an app like yours that people didn't realize they needed before they knew it existed?
If you haven't got loads and loads of marketing budget to sort of scream from the rooftops, hey, you need this, then it is going to be a bit of a slow burn. And any articles that are on SEO take months to get to the top of the list if they do that.
How did you go about figuring out which features to put behind a paywall?
I wouldn't even say we had any free features. What was really interesting about launching the paywall is you find out really quickly what your users don't like about your app. When you're free, people tolerate a lot. We were getting some pretty bad reviews on the App Store that nothing was for free. So we ran a couple of A/B tests around revealing all of the features free, but for 7 days. You could see your partner's calendar for the next 7 days rolling. But after that period, there was a paywall, and that actually increased conversion to paid. Being able to demonstrate more of our features to users, we actually raised conversion while keeping our free users happy as well.
Since you brought up A/B testing, you've been testing a higher price as well.
Customers use price as a proxy for value and quality. When we tested a lower price point, we actually didn't increase conversion at all, but we did increase churn. So what it said to us was, users are coming into the app, they're signing up, but because it's cheap, they're not necessarily associating our product with value or with quality. And so it becomes more disposable. And then when we tested a higher price, we were seeing similar or a little bit higher conversion, but the users were stickier.
You talked about how paid acquisition plays a critical role for your app.
We've mainly focused on the App Store. So ASA up until now was really key for us, just getting the volume of users into our app where we could get meaningful data on their behavior. As we go on, paid acquisition will always form part of our overall growth strategy. For us, an ideal ratio is 20% paid, 80% organic. Growing this engine just by chucking lots of money, it's not a sustainable growth strategy.
I've also noticed when there is a like 80-20 split, 80 on the paid side, the ASO becomes a lot easier for me to move keywords. So I'm like, well, maybe it needs to be 80-20 paid in the beginning and then flip slowly to 50-50 and then slowly move to your ideal rate. Aiden has a question. How did you balance the calendar being an important feature while avoiding feature creep?
We probably look at it as in terms of what are the outcomes that we're trying to get. For us, retention is really important. Obviously, top of funnel, a lot of our users are driven by that original reason that they searched on the internet for, so a shared calendar. And so we better make sure if those users came into our app for that, we're satisfying that need. And the only way to look at that is through retention. I think when you get a user in and they've shown an intent of wanting to like your product, but you can't keep them around, it's a really good signal that something isn't quite right. And so by keeping an eye on those key metrics, it'll sort of tell you where you need to be focusing your attention.